And a good Monday morning and unbelievable Monday morning, actually, as far as Philadelphia Eagle fans should be concerned. We will be throwing out a lot of high praise today on Birds 365. The Mac and Mac guys, Jody McDonald, along with my partner, John McMullen. Well, that was complete domination, wasn't it, Mr.
Yeah.
McMullen?
Now let's call them frauds. I was just on your Twitter account and you put a little tease for the show. I saw you put it up there, and there were a couple of replies calling the Eagles frauds because Dallas is higher on some kind of weird ranking. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know what these people want. They can't be satisfied. So you can only do what's in front of you. I thought this was maybe the most um, disparity between talent of the entire season when I looked at what was going on with the Giants. Not only, I mean, the Giants aren't a good football team, so I give Brian Daboll a ton of credit for getting them to where they are, but they're also really banged up. So you put that on top of it, and I said, "Woof, this is going to be a tough one." I didn't think it was going to be that tough. It wasn't as close as the final score.
No, it really wasn't.
No, it was not as close as the final score. Three possessions, three touchdowns to start the game. It was over. It was over. I joked, do you know Ira Thor? I didn't know Ira, but he's the press box guy at MetLife for Giants game. I don't know about Jets, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
he came to the game with tremendous energy. Like, he's an energy guy. Brandon Graham's an energy guy. Zach Berman's an energy. I always have tremendous respect for these people that just have great energy every day. He was so fired up, everything, you could hear it in his voice after that third touchdown. They even beat down poor Ira Thor. I put it on Twitter and he replied back. He didn't have coffee, but no, it affected him. It affected him.
It did. It was complete and utter domination from the get go, as you mentioned, right down the field. Touchdown, first three possessions, touchdown. The defense was making Daniel Jones's life difficult every single week. Which, oh, by the way, speaking of those who just you can't win over, the Philadelphia Eagles now lead the National Football League in sacks.
Yeah, how about that?
They surpassed the Cowboys yesterday to become the number one sack team in the National Football League. So please give it a rest on the Jonathan Gannon is not aggressive enough talk.
They can't do it. They can't do it. They can't do it, Jody. I don't know, and I said it on Seth with Seth last night, and obviously Seth's a big aggression guy, and I say it all the time. The comparison is not Buddy Ryan. It's not Jim Johnson. It's not Seth Joyner's defense. It's everybody else in 2022. That's the comparison. That's the comparison. And the Eagles play better defense. Maybe San Francisco's in the conversation. They can have an argument. But the Eagles play better defense than just about anybody in the NFL. That's the comparison. That's it.
Right. It's a 2022 thing, not a 2022 compared to 1995 thing. That just it doesn't matter, and it doesn't hold water. And you know me, I'm a sack guy. You give much more credence and credit to pressures and quarterback hits and the like. I want to know about getting home. And they're getting home more than anyone in the National Football League. How can you ask for better results than that? It's just stone cold ridiculous. Doesn't matter whether you're talking about offense, defense, or special teams. All of a sudden, the Eagles are not only okay on special teams, they're good on special teams. So what phase of the game is this Philadelphia Eagle team not dominating the National Football League in right now?
Well, I don't think they're dominant in special teams by any stretch. And obviously they had the block punt and Aaron Cepas got injured. So that's an issue. But yeah, Boston Scott, we all knew it's the Boston Scott week. The guy barely plays, but I knew something was going to happen. And he throws a 66-yard kickoff return right after that punt, which set up the Giants' first touchdown. And then he scored a touchdown late in the game. Yeah, I mean, offensively and defensively, look, this team is, my biggest question is which is better, offense or defense? Because I think it's a really difficult conversation to have. One came into the game number 2. One came into the game number 3. They probably only went up. It's boy, this is the best Eagles team I've ever seen. Doesn't guarantee anything because, and hat tip to San Francisco, they were able to win again with Brock Purdy. I mean, they look like the second best team in the NFC. Dallas struggled. Where are those people that? The Eagles struggled with Houston. They didn't struggle like that with Houston.
No, they did not.
They didn't have their best game in Houston by any stretch of the imagination, but the Cowboys had to scratch and claw to win that football game, and Minnesota, as predicted, just collapsed again defensively in the passing game and loses to Detroit. It is becoming clearer and clearer and clearer that the road to the Super Bowl goes through Lincoln Financial Field. It's going to go through Lincoln Financial Field. And look, the one thing that can get anybody is injuries. And we already saw it, Reed Blankenship, there's some serious concern there. So you're down to your third safety. Serious concern with Aaron Cepas. Now, Lane Johnson talked to him after the game. He thinks he's going to be fine. That's big. We'll see as the week goes on. But injuries can derail anyone. And you saw it with the Giants. That's part of the reason the Giants were so bad. I mean, it wasn't just – look, they're in rebuilding mode. They still need that talent. And as I said, Brian Daboll did some tremendous things early in the season, winning a lot of games with mirrors. But, some of their best players were not playing. Leonard Williams and Xavier McKinney and Adoree Jackson on defense. That's 3 of their 4 best players on defense. I mean – so they had nothing coming in the game from a talent standpoint. And, yeah, they were a road apple.
Yeah, and Saquon Barkley just didn't look like Saquon Barkley. He'd been a question mark leading up to the game with a neck thing. I don't know what kind of percentage he was playing at yesterday, but he just had no burst whatsoever. But that's just another area where the Philadelphia Eagles have gotten better over the course of the season. Credit to the coaching staff, credit to the individual players, credit to Howie Roseman, who went out and got them 2 proven veteran defensive tackles to make them better against the run. Giants couldn't run it worth a damn yesterday. And we, 5 weeks ago, we were worried about, they got Travis. Yeah. They got Travis Henry coming up. They got Saquon Barkley coming up. They faced these guys and beating them down.
I'm glad you brought that up because, it was Brian Robinson in Washington and all the hand-wringing about, oh, my God, you can't stop Brian Robinson. How are you going to stop Jonathan Taylor and Aaron Jones and Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley? Well, here we are. It's over. And that stretch was not the only one who had even a mediocre game was Taylor. He had like 22 for 84, which is not great. He had one, and by the way, he had one big run to skew that. They dominated. In a lot of ways, I think that was, people didn't realize that was a little bit of a break because they went through that stretch when they lost Devonta Maddox and Devonta thankfully got back. And then they lost C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And they were facing a bunch of teams that couldn't take advantage of it. They couldn't pass the ball consistently. So it actually played into the Eagles' hands a little bit. But yeah, all that hand-wringing, it's over, and look at where we are.
Yeah, running the ball against the Eagles has turned out to be a chore, not a way to victory over Philadelphia. So
they do it with light boxes too. Amazing. They didn't have to load the box against Derrick Henry. These morons. Sorry, Jody.
That's okay. They did not. And again, I do want to give Howie credit because he went out and when he saw a need, he filled it with guys who were established in the league, could flat out fill the void that the Eagles had. I want to give credit to the coaching staff because they get them ready. It is Jonathan Gannon's light box way of doing things. And when you've got superior players, you can get away with that. And right now he's got superior players on the defensive line. But let's give credit to the players themselves, like Sue, like Linval Joseph. Jordan Davis come back. He's almost like a non-factor. They only play him a handful of plays every single game. They don't need to. But Fletcher's picked it up and played better. Hargrave has been great all year. And specifically, and we got Marcus Hayes joining us coming up in just a couple of minutes. The guys on the end. Hassan Reddick got his 10th sack yesterday. So now this is 3 straight years for 3 different teams that Hassan Reddick has gotten double-digit sacks, which I don't know has ever been done in the National Football League before. I doubt it has. Josh Sweat, another big sack again yesterday. And specifically, Brandon Graham, up to 8.5 sacks with his big day yesterday. He's got a legit shot at double-digit sacks this year. You were there every single day. You saw him. You said, he's looking good. He's moving around like he's playing. I seriously question whether Brandon Graham was going to have anything left in the tank coming into this year. He's playing as well now as he ever has in his entire career. He's been unbelievable for the Eagles. So, yeah, we got to give credit to the players. I know you and I to analyze the coaches and the moves by the general manager, whatever. But bottom line is it comes down to the players. And damn, the Eagles are getting great defensive line play.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would put Howie in there too because Howie's built this roster. You got to give him credit. You got players the coaching staff wants and desired in fit specific roles. So he's a big part of it. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, personnel is more important than anything else. That's why I thought the Eagles would run the Giants off the field. That's why they ran them off the field. Personnel. They have better players. They have better players all over the field. With Brandon, it's interesting because I think he's played better, but he used to play a lot. Now he's a closer and he's accepted his role. He plays a limited amount of snaps at his age and coming off the Achilles. And he's out there to do specific things and he's dominating in that specific role. So they come at you in waves and they're so deep. And now they have 2 nose tackles. Look, the reason Jordan Davis and Linval Joseph didn't play enough. When you're up 21-0, you don't have to play the 5-man fronts. You're going after the quarterback. But when they need it, they have it. They have those 2 big bodies in the middle. And now you have Ndamukong Suh to mix in with the funny part is, Jody, they had to put Robert Quinn on IR. Look, I'm not saying it's a fake injury, but they needed to get Milton Williams some snaps, and they can't trust everybody. Janarius Robinson's out there waiting for his chance. They're so deep on the defensive line. And you go back to Jim Schwartz, and it's the engine of the defense. When you can come at people in waves like that, it is really, really difficult for offensive lines.
All right, so we're here to talk about the first place, only 1-loss team in the National Football League, moving up the statistical rankings in basically every category, Philadelphia Eagles. Here on Birds 365, he's John McMullen, I'm Jody McDonald. We got 2 good guests to add into the mix today. First up is the ink-stained Rich himself. That's his Twitter handle. Marcus Hayes from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and the WIP is going to jump in with us next to talk Philadelphia Eagles here on Birds 365.